So, yesterday I was told, not told, I found out something in my travels across the vast plain of the internet. I discovered something that warmed my heart, warmed my nerdy little heart. It probably should have. And that was, I discovered that The Adventures of Superboy Season 2 was on DVD. Booyah. Booyah. Okay, so now some of you are asking, what the hell are you talking about? Alright, so back in the day, the Salkinds, the guys who were the producers of the original Superman movies, now they made the first three Superman movies with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers didn't want the franchise anymore after Superman 3 because they lost money. So they decided to make it with a low-budget action film studio called Cannon Films. That wasn't a good idea. That resulted in Superman 4. And, so, yeah. They got, they said, like, well, screw you, Cannon. They took their little suitcase with their Superman rights, because they still had the rights to make stuff based on Superman for a little while. And they're like, well, what are we going to do? The franchise has run out of money. And Ilya's like, I know what we're going to do. We're going to go to TV. They're like, well, how are we going to make a Superman show on a TV budget? It's like, well, we won't do a Superman show, we'll do a Superboy show. What's a Superboy show? Well, back in the day, again, at this point, we're still running on the this is still pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths continuity. And back in the latter half of the golden age of comics, all through the silver and bronze ages of comics, the concept, Superman's backstory went sort of like this. Clark Kent arrives on the planet Earth, is raised by Jonathan and Martha Kent, and when he gets to be to boyhood, the Kents gave him his Superman outfit, and he went off to start fighting crime in his local town. And because he was a boy who was going around doing things, people called him Superboy. Eventually, when he became a man and moved to Metropolis, people started calling him Superman. And they decided to make a show out of this concept, but set in college. And it involves Superboy's cast of characters. So, like in the comics, they had, instead of Lois Lane, you had Lana Lang. But instead of being played by, I forget the name of the woman who played her in Superman 3, but she was awesome and played a fantastic Lana and a fantastic Martha Kent. Instead, it was played by someone named Stacey Hayden, who, all I can say about her is that she got better. But first season, she was terrible. But we'll get into that. And they came up with an original character who was eventually incorporated into the comics, called T.J. White, who was said to be the like the son of Perry White. And then they added Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor was a supporting character in the original Superboy comics for like one episode. But they like incorporated him into a lot more episodes in this one. Well, first, the show was a huge success at the time. And over time, the special effects got better and better, and by the end of the series, they were doing like full-blown action scenes. It was badass. Then Warner Brothers bought DC, and they were looking at that, and they were like, why is there a Superman show being made right now that we don't own? And so they canceled that motherfucker. They canceled Superboy. And then went on and decided to make a far superior Superman show. Because when you watch a Superman show, you don't want a show in which Superman has to deal with the rigors of being Superman in a serious way, while at the same time having an awesome action scenes. No, instead you want to see Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher wonder whether or not they're gonna fuck this week. And so yeah, they made Lois and Clark in the Avengers Superman. Now, why have you never heard of this? It has never been re-released until very recently, because Viacom, the studio that made the show, was bought by Paramount. So now they own I think it was Paramount. So now they own the rights to the show and like half of the name of Superboy. And Warner Brothers owns the concepts behind that. And I'm not sure where this stands in as far as the legal battle right now, but I think that the estates of Simon and Schuster might own a bit of that too now. I don't know how that is. I thought DC won that battle, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But the point is, a few years ago when Superman Returns came out, they started releasing all of the old superhero shows, or Superman shows, like the George Reeves stuff, the animated series, everything, to promote it. And so they were so happy, they were so excited when Superman Returns came out. They're like, you know what, let's cut a deal with Paramount and let's get the Superboy show out on DVD. And they did. Season 1 came out on DVD. And it was great. All the Superman fans are like, yay, Superboy's going to get out on DVD. But the Superboy Season 1 box set didn't sell very well, which is sad. But there's a very simple explanation for that. Season 1 is one of the worst abominations in the history of television. It is Heil Honey, I'm Home Kuczynski level of why was this made. It is. You remember have you ever seen my review of The Flash? If you haven't, don't watch it. It's not worth your time. But if you have, remember when I said that the stupidest episode of any TV series I'd ever seen in my life? About that one episode I reviewed, that was the stupidest episode of a series I'd ever seen in my life. This series tops it at least 10 times over. And if you're asking which one's worse, this or Smallville, I honestly couldn't tell you. Well, I think probably this, because Smallville had better production values. But yeah, it was terrible. Somehow, back in the day, Season 1 managed to be enough of a success that they were able to make a Season 2. At which time, they fired everyone and replaced everyone. T.J. White's character was completely annexed from the show and was replaced with this guy. I think his character's name was Andy, but he was played by the other guy from Weird Science, not the one who was in all those other John Hughes movies, just the other guy from Weird Science. Um, no, not Robert Downey Jr. That'd be very awesome, but no. Superboy was replaced by Gerard Christopher, who had actually seen the Christopher Reeves movies and could actually act, as opposed to John James Newton from season 1, whose the only other credit I've ever heard of him being in was the douchebag boyfriend from Vanilla Ice. And the guy who played Lex Luthor was replaced by that guy who gets a Thin Mint or a Junior Mint dropped in his rib cage by Kramer in that one episode of Seinfeld. And although I wouldn't call him the best actor in the world, he at least made the character far more interesting than the guy who played him in season 1, who goes down in my book as one of the worst actors I've ever seen in my life. And this is why I'm excited to see season 2. And I'm running out of time here, but I guess I can shave off some minutes from the beginning. This is why I'm excited to see season 2, because season 1 was a terrible idea to release by itself. They should have released Superboy Part 1 and had seasons 1 and 2 encased within. And that way, they could have saved some money at least. But season 2, oh yeah, this is where it starts getting good. The format is still the same as season 1, where he's still at college. After that, they have him, seasons 3 and 4, they have him graduate, and they have him move into a city that was inspired by Tim Burton's Gotham City. And things start to get really awesome then. So hopefully we'll see that soon. But season 2, like, I always felt bad about doing a Superboy review before, because I was always like, well, the only thing I could tell you was to go out and buy season 1, even though I knew it sucked and that you shouldn't buy it. But if you didn't buy season 1, we would never get season 2. But now we have season 2. So I'm telling you right now, as soon as you can, go out. If you're a Superman fan, if you're a superhero fan, go out, buy Superboy season 2. It has a big picture of Gerard Christopher on the front being awesome. Buy season 2. Watch it. It's not the best show, season 2. But season 3 and 4 are pretty close. And season 2 is a lot of fun to watch. So just go out there, buy season 2, buy as many copies as you possibly can, give them to all of your friends this Christmas, and then as soon as send one to me, because I am broke. But I am very excited. This makes my nerdy little heart happy. So I fully recommend season 2. You got Jaws playing an extra-dimensional imp. You got George Lazenby playing Marlon Brando, playing Jor-El. You got vampires. You got androids from the future. I think you have androids from the future. That might be a different season, but pretty sure you have androids from the future. You have one of the funniest and yet scariest Lex Luthors you'll ever see. Definitely one of the funniest. You're in for a treat. That's all I'll say. You are in for a treat. And in case you don't want to buy season 1, and really, who can blame you? I'll just spoil the ending of season 1 right now. The last episode in season 1, throughout all of season 1, Lex Luthor is like a rich, pretty boy college student who always gets his way, and he's like always trying to cheat people. At the end of season 1, Superboy blowing out a fire accidentally blows chemicals into his hair that makes him lose his hair. He goes nuts, tries to kill Superboy, and then goes on the run. And so season 2 picks up with Lex Luthor on the run and bald. Oh, and in season 1, he always had this idiot following him around who was like a sort of like Otis, but somewhat attractive. And so he's still hanging around with him at the beginning of season 2. Fun times. So yeah, go out, buy Superboy season 2, and enjoy it because it is an awesome show.